Hello, everyone. Hello, Instagram. Hello, Facebook. And YouTube. Put this on YouTube. Hello, you guys. Hi, Heather Ball. Hi, 5 Element Dragon Fire Reiki. Hi, Love Janelle. Hi, Bari. Hi, Lisa Leclerc. All right, I had a really strong calling to jump on real fast. I want to share I want to describe what's happening to us right now on the planet from a dimensional perspective. So this may be easy to understand for some people. This may be difficult to comprehend for others, but it is what's happening right now from a more quantum perspective. And I just think it's important to hold many different perspectives as we are navigating this evolution, going through this evolution, because there's so many different layers of experience that we're going to have, right? We're going to go through phases where we really need to heal, and we're going through trauma, we're healing trauma, we're dealing with ancestral trauma. We start remembering more of these the Akashic records and the contracts you have with different souls in your life. And then you start recognizing this energetic piece, this energetic component where you're like feeling a lot more. And then you realize, oh my God, there's these thoughts that have been controlling me. And then you start going into this recognition of the programming that we're in and the matrix. And there's just all these layers, these layers to this evolution that are just so profoundly insane and also very magical. But here's something that's happening that I just felt really called to talk about right now. And it's different how your body, which many times we think is us. So we actually think that we're evolving, and we're actually not evolving. The body's evolving. So the body is actually shifting frequency. You're not, but let that just come and go as it is. It gets to feel however it's going to feel to you. But your body is moving through different dimensional fields right now based on its frequency. And it's pretty trippy when you start to understand this. Also, it's very simple to understand this, but it is what's happening to a lot of us. Part of the reason why you feel like you're here, but you're not here. You feel like you're in the room, but you're not really in the room. You are super exhausted, right? You feel like a ghost a lot of the time. It's a real trippy feeling, but if you feel it, this is what's happening. It's profound. Okay, I want you to imagine, the best analogy I can ever use for dimensional fields is, hi, Katie. Hi, Impact Coach NZ. Okay, so the best way to describe this is like a Russian doll. You guys know what a Russian doll is? So it's a doll that's got a doll inside of it, like one of those like ceramic dolls, right? And you pull one out, a big one out, and there's a littler one in there. You pull the littler one out, and there's a littler one in there. You pull the littler one out, and there's an even tinier doll in there, right? And it just keeps getting tinier and tiny, but they all look like one doll. That is how dimensional fields work. You don't go anywhere. There's no separation. And it all just looks like the now. It all just looks like the right here, right now. And yet there's multiple different dimensional fields that your body can tap into or experience right here, right now, based on the body's frequency. Does this make sense? So your body's frequency is going to dictate the different dimensional fields that it may be moving in and out of. So you can't actually you're not actually in charge of this. Like, oh, I'm going to move to like 5D, or oh, I'm in a 6th dimension and I'm going to stay here. That's the ego trying to control what it has no business controlling. It is the body shifting different frequencies. It's like a radio station, okay? So if you turn the knob, the radio station shifts to a different song, right? The different station has a different song. What's happening right now for us right on the planet is that the body is naturally beginning to hold, anchor down, more higher frequency, which is just more light. Hi, Janet. Nice to see you. It's just more light in your body that you're actually not responsible for. You know, it's naturally happening. Now, you're responsible for the thoughts you believe, the emotions that you attach to, the behaviors that you do. You're responsible for that. That's a choice. But in terms of frequency, this is a natural process that we're being led through. And the body is naturally beginning to move into higher and higher frequencies. The caveat is that there has to be awareness. Awareness is what kind of activates the journey of the conscious evolution in human consciousness. There has to be, hi Joseph, there has to be, hi Mike. I mean, there's a lot of things. It's a good question, Mike. Is there anything I can do to help facilitate the process of maintaining a higher frequency? There's a lot of things that we can do to keep ourselves in that higher vibe state, right? But the key is to not try to control it. So for instance, if I'm feeling a lot of anxiety or stress or worry, I'll go sit in nature. If I'm overwhelmed by all the things that I'm thinking I need to do, I'll listen to music. If I'm feeling sad, maybe I'll turn on Netflix. For me, it's not so much that I'm trying to shift or change my frequency as it is I'm just trying to stay in more of the flow state. So the flow state, Mike, is the highest vibrational state you can be in. And the flow state is just whatever's arising is the highest state. So what happens is that as the body moves up and down in different frequencies, bringing you into different dimensional fields as part of the process, right? When we try to, and the part of you, Mike, that's asking that question, which is the beautiful part of you, is this egoic structure. It's not the soul. And the soul doesn't try to stay in any state. It just is in a flow. And so the flow state is, I know I'm none of this. I know what's happening in the world, on the planet right now. And so I'm just going to be in all of this. And the soul knows that it gets to choose how it's going to view everything, the lens it's going to use, right? The ego says, oh, no, that's not right. That's bad. That's good. That should or shouldn't happen. I should be in charge of controlling my frequency. It feels better when I'm in control of my frequency, right? I love it when I'm just able to sit in nature all day long. Not most of us can't do that. And so there's this search to try to bring ourselves into or maintain a higher frequency. The problem with that in this evolutionary process is that the more and more our bodies start to evolve, the more we're going to be in the flow state. And the more we're in the flow state, the more we have to let go of trying to control the vibration, the frequency, the vibe of our body. Now, what is important to recognize is what are you choosing to believe, because your thoughts control your reality, right? And what emotions are you not allowing? Are you saying are bad? You shouldn't feel these. Because I guarantee you, Mike, and anyone else that's curious about how to maintain a high frequency, that level of control is pulling you out of something you don't want to be in. And whatever that something is that you don't want to be in, there's most likely a judgment to it. And that judgment is what you are here to step out of. And the only way you can step out of that judgment of, I shouldn't be feeling this, this isn't good, this doesn't feel good, is that you start allowing yourself to be in it through the lens of soul, right? And when you can allow yourself to be in it, even the things you don't want to, while you still choose how you navigate it, you'll find yourself in higher vibrational states very naturally, over and over and over. My voice isn't changing by me. The Instagram changes the voice. So if it's uncomfortable, you can just maybe choose to not listen to it. So, hi, Sasha. Yeah, Instagram's been doing that for a very long time. Anyway, so the dimensional fields, you guys, right now are what I wanted to bring us back to, because be aware of, there is a third dimensional reality that we're in that's very heavy, that's very slow, that feels dense. Then there's a fourth dimension that creates more of a floaty feeling, like you can feel that you have 1 foot in one dimension and 1 foot in the other. And then there's the fifth dimensional field where you feel like you're in this flow state, right? So it's like you're moving through the rapids and everything starts to just be okay, right? Somehow there's just this peace or this calm in the midst of like everything you're going through. And so what you're going to notice right now through this 3D, 4D, 5D, and there's every dimension that ever is possible is in this same Russian doll, right? But what you're going to start to notice is you're going to have, and you've been doing this for a while, is you're going to start to have these awarenesses of feeling super happy, like for no reason, just everything's okay, all is well, super engaged in the world, grateful for things, just ease. And then literally an hour later, half a day later, the next day, the next week, you're going to feel exhausted out of the blue for no reason. You're going to feel irritated for no reason, even more so than normal. You're going to feel way more emotional, right? Because when you start to move into these higher dimensional fields, your body's more energetic. So it has a tone or a pulse that goes out. So it feels a lot more. You know, everything we're going through right now is just the experience of the physical body, but we pull it in and we make it very personal. And it feels like, oh, we're healing trauma and we're healing programming and we're healing ancestral trauma and we're breaking free of the matrix and blah, blah, blah. But actually what is simply just happening is that we are shifting dimensional fields in a physical form. That is the evolution in human consciousness. Just looks different for every single person, feels different for people at different times. But this idea that we are moving into a higher dimensional field and we stay there is not necessarily how this works. It's like a roller coaster. There's these 4 stages of kind of the body increasing in frequency. I wrote it in my book. I wish I could remember the 4 stages. It's acclimate, assimilate, tap, and then anchoring. Anyway, so there's these ways in which the body, I don't feel like I've been handling the low end very well. Well, you've been doing an excellent job, Mike, and I encourage you, if the lows are challenging, then do what you need to navigate through the lows. Because a lot of times, sorry, I'm going back to Mike's question, but I feel like it's important that a lot of people are wondering, or, you know, going through this. It can feel so low, right? And so heavy and so intense, almost impossible to be in. And so we want to honor that. We want to honor, how do I get out of this? We need to honor that as well. And so what I would encourage is, instead of thinking of getting out of it and never going back to it, it's more of, what are the tools that I have to get me through this, right? It's a little bit different than, how do I get out of this? How do I get out of this means I don't ever want to get back there. I'm not safe to be in that. How do I get through this is the movement. It's the flow. So what are my tools to get me through this moment of depression? What are my tools to get me through this sadness right now? What are my tools to get me through this anger or irritability, right? It's a different lens to use, Mike. And so what tools do you like to use to get yourself through what you're in? Hanging out with people. Well, a lot of us have numbing techniques right now. Food, alcohol, Netflix. What are the escapisms that we do right now because of the intensity of the energetic experience that we're having? You become, as this is happening for you without you doing anything, really, Mike, it's just happening. You're going to, your ability to be in this is going to be challenged. Our ability to be in the world may be challenging for a lot of us because we are becoming more sensitive to it all. We're starting to hear our thoughts more than ever. We're starting to see our patterns way more than ever. We're starting to feel emotions in ways we never have before. We're starting to see other people's shadows and traumas. We're starting to see our own traumas more and more. It's all coming to light. You know what I mean? It's all popping in. And so I always recommend, if you're in my community or you follow me, I always say you're going through this. So Lindsay says, I hide under the covers. Get through it. It's okay. I went for a walk. So we all have different ways of moving through it right now. I would also encourage you to not think that there's something wrong with you. And so try not to beat yourself up. I love to call this like the roller coaster, right? I mean, it's looking more and more like a river to me. It's just a river, and we aren't in control of the river, and we don't know what is going to come. The river is never going to be just still, right? Energy it's not stagnant. Energy is always moving, and energy expresses itself in cyclical ways, circles, right? Not linear. And so if you think about that, and that's how dimensional fields work, it's all circular, it's all one. And so there isn't a destination. This is a ride that we're on. And so everything gets to be here. Everything gets to be expressed and experienced. Everything's allowed. And it all just is. And then from that state of awareness, you start to choose how the thoughts you're going to believe. The ways in which you're going to move through each day, the lens you're going to use to see yourself and the people around you and the world around you. There's definitely a captain in there kind of choosing the lens it's going to use, the activeness. There's an activity, there's action, but you're in a flow state. You're in the river. You're letting the river do what the river does, which is life. And life doesn't fuck up. Life doesn't make mistakes. Life's never made a mistake, right? Nature doesn't make mistakes, and life is nature. And the evolution in human consciousness is nature evolving. Even though it's a body, it's nature. And so if you think about how nature doesn't make a mistake, and that life doesn't make mistakes, then whatever you're in is exactly what you're designed to be in. And the evolution in our consciousness is recognizing that, right? It's recognizing that there is no mistake, that God or soul or whatever you want to call it is just trying to get your attention, to make you remember, to get you to remember that you have never been any of this, and that God has you, soul has you, life has you. You've chosen to incarnate at this time to navigate this chaotic states, this chaotic evolution. So Mike, you chose to be here at this time. You chose to experience all of this that's happening right now. There are no mistakes. It's not like, holy shit, wait a second. I didn't want to be in this. Yes, your soul did. And your soul is coming alive right now. Your soul is waking up out of the illusion that you can't be in everything. I want you to sit with this for a second, Mike. Anyone else that's having a hard time being in the lower frequency stuff, right? It's all just the practice, the gift of remembering that as a soul, you can be in all of this. Doesn't mean you sit back and you just kick up your legs and you're like, okay, I'm just going to be in this. No, you take action. What are your tools? Can I remember making that choice? I remember. I've guided people through the remembrance. I've guided people through a meditation where I bring them into the soul before they dropped in. I don't know if it worked. If there was anyone here that was in the remembrance workshop and you did the meditation, were you guys able to feel yourself choosing to incarnate? It was a really powerful practice that we did. But yeah, I mean, it's in your memory. It's you. Bari did, she remembered. It's a wild memory to have and it's also it can feel very empowering, but also very sad. Katie wasn't able to, because you realize that you're about to go down into a very dense reality, and you realize you're about to forget who you are. And to me, it's empowering because, no, but I'm doing that. Hi, Brady. I'm doing that meditation in my 6-week course. In day 1, we're doing it, or class 1. But back to your question, Mike, and for all of us, it is in our cells. It's in our DNA because it happened. Every single soul chose to drop in right now, to drop into the body that you are in, right? It's your soul chose to be in this physical body with the parents that you have, with some of the intense trauma that you went through. Why? To be able to shift an entire human collective. So you came here to be in whatever you're in so that you can remember how badass you are, that you can go through anything and you don't have to try to figure out how to high vibe yourself. Because you realize as Mike, the character, what a freaking badass you are by being the soul that incarnated into a physical body at this time. We're not forced to reincarnate. Do you realize how powerful you are to be in this body? To have chosen to come down at this time, to have chosen to be on the planet, in order to shift an entire human collective, whether you believe that or not. It's what's playing out. It's what a huge number of us decided to do. So anywho, that's a little side pocket note for all of you, but it's not easy. It's not easy, but it's a remembrance. It's a very, very, I've had the remembrance, very, very sad. It can be very sad because it's like, fuck, why did I choose this? Why would I choose this? I'd like to remember the strength I thought I had to be able to overcome this if that's what I chose to do. It's in you, my friend. It's in you. It's in you. It's you. It's you. It's so intense to go through this process. It doesn't ever need to be understood also. Just start to kind of hold a knowingness somewhere within you that you're not here by accident, and that you came here at this time. You came here at this time to be a part of this shift. And that there is this thing I like to call, which is the front lines, right? The ones that are going first. And what I mean by that is that we are stepping into these new ways of being. You know, you're stepping into maybe being an entrepreneur for the first time. You're not going to college like all your parents and grandparents did. Maybe you're choosing to have a lifestyle where you are not renting a house, but you're in a van traveling the countryside or something, you know. Maybe you're the first person in your family that's ever actually worked on their trauma and felt emotions in the way that you are. Maybe you're the first person in your family or friend circle that is following your intuition, which means that it doesn't always make sense and people think you're crazy. Maybe you're the first person that's starting to live in more of a flow state, which means that you don't have a plan and you don't need a plan. There's all these new ways of being that you are stepping into as the front line, right? You're going first. And it's challenging because there's not a handbook. Someone isn't handing you the handbook saying, hey, here's how you do it. But that's what you're doing. You are going first in order to be able to turn around and help people, walk people through this, right? And so this is what is like so freaking powerful in this process. It's so powerful in this process is to start to remember this and not bring yourself into like, oh, there's something wrong with me. And I shouldn't be feeling these things. You should be. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. Remember this. There's a unique gift that you hold. There's a unique way in which you are here to live on this planet that's different from other people, and it's going to feel different from other people. It's just you're going to feel different. You're going to feel like you're doing it in ways that others aren't around you. That's because you're on the front lines. You're going first. So what are the tools that you have? What tools? Imagine that you're in the river. And listen, 90% of what is being taught to us is still the old programming. Because it's trying to fix the river. And so you can't fix the river just is. You can't fix this evolution. You can't vibrate yourself into where you wish the river was. You can't vibrate into a different place on the river. The most courageous thing about being in this evolution right now, in the human experience right now, is that you're actually not in control. And the more that we realize that we're actually not in control, the easier life begins, the easier life is. It just becomes easier. And 90% of what we consume and what we learn and what is taught to us is that we have to fix it all. We have to be in control. We have to change it. We have to bring ourselves into different states, and we have to change our thoughts, and we have to control our emotions. You don't control emotions. Emotions are energy, so they just come and go. That is the most empowering place you'll ever find yourself, promise you. Stop trying to change emotion. You can shift an emotion by, doing something, and then a different emotion arises, but you're not trying to change it or get rid of it. It just is. Every emotion gets to be here because it's just an energy. Every thought gets to be here the more you realize you're not thought. Every thought gets to arise. You do control your actions, 100%. So what are you in charge of? You're in charge of how you respond to life, how you react to life. That is what you're in charge of, okay? So for instance, Mike, when you have an emotion that you don't like, what you are in control of is how you respond to that emotion. So if I have sadness that arises, as the kind of human piece that's doing life, how am I choosing to see that sadness? Something's wrong with me. Well, that's a choice. Sadness gets to be here. That's a choice. I'm going to get rid of sadness. That's a choice. I'm going to let sadness be here, and I'm going to go swim. That's a choice. I'm going to call a friend and talk about my sadness. That's a choice. That's the action. Do you understand? So there's always action. You're always choosing. But underneath that, my friend, is just what's arising. And that's the flow state. The emotion of sadness is here. Great. Fabulous. I'm moving in the river. here comes sadness. Now, what we are trained is, oh, this is a low vibration. I need to get myself out of it. But that's like floating down the river, and there's a tree stump that has broken off and fallen into a tree branch that's fallen off and is in the river. And you're saying to yourself, oh my God, I have to make sure that this tree branch isn't in the river. It's like, no, you don't need to get rid of the tree branch. You just need to figure out how to move through it. Do you understand? You don't need to get rid of the sadness. You just have to figure out how you're going to move through the sadness. Oh my God, there's all these rapids in the river. I need to slow the river down. It's like, no, that's the natural process of going through grief. Grief are these big rocks in the middle of the river, let's say. And the big rocks create the rapids. It's natural, right? And so when you have some sort of experience that creates the experience of grief, beating yourself up over what you're feeling makes no sense. It's the natural process of being human to feel whatever you're feeling. What we get caught in is the idea that you are those feelings or you are those thoughts. And what's happening right now on the planet is that there is a spiritual battle going on. There is a spiritual war happening with the mind. And fear is literally being, I don't want to freak us out, but it's like fear is literally, it's totally uncomfortable. I hear you. But what are your tools that you have? So it looks like you're trying to get out of it, but you're just using tools to navigate it. So it's a slight shift in the way you're seeing it. You're not stuck in anything. Nothing is permanent. Sometimes when we try to get out of something so badly, it just anchors it deeper in. It's like there's a big rock in the river and you hit it. I've used this analogy so many times, but it's such a good analogy. There's a rock in the river and you hit it. Let's say that is sadness or anger or depression. Now, what we have been taught, and this works, but it only creates resistance in life, is that when we hit the big rock, we grab it, right? And we're like, oh my God, holy shit. Like, what the fuck? You grab the rock and you try to figure out how to get beyond the boulder. Why is the boulder here? Do I need to do something with this boulder? This boulder just hurt me. Oh my God, it just injured me. Do I need to go on the side of the river and figure out how I got injured, right? So sadness is like, why is sadness here? What do I need to do with sadness? I need to get rid of sadness. Sadness shouldn't be here. Or anger doesn't need to be here. Why is anger here? Why would I possibly feel anger again? We analyze it. We scrutinize it. We dissect it till it's freaking dead. And then we keep dissecting it. And this shouldn't be here. The boulder shouldn't be here. Well, the boulder's there. Anger shouldn't be here. The anger's there. Low vibrational stuff shouldn't be there. It's all just there, right? You hit it. You experience it, but you have to release, let go of, and just watch yourself keep going. And guess what? There may be another one. And then there may be another one. And what you're learning are tools to be in a flow state. And that is recognizing you're not the boulder. And boulders don't ever need to go anywhere. They don't ever need to be out of the river because they're never going to not be in the river. So I started this with like different dimensional fields and talking about the different dimensional fields and how they're all right here, right now, being experienced right here, right now. And there's just this weird kind of floaty feeling of going back and forth, in and out, right? Of these different kind of weird states. And you're not in control of that, right? And yet you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. You don't know if you're going to wake up tomorrow depressed or happy. Do you? Does anyone know? Does anyone know what's going to happen tomorrow? No one knows. You don't. That's what's so profound about life, is that we don't know what's going to happen in 1 minute. I didn't know this was going to happen, and I didn't know this was going to happen. And that's life. That's the flow state, where you really start understanding that you do not have control over what's coming. And when you start, that can create a lot of fear in people. That is the worst feeling for a lot of us. because we're like, wait a second, I've designed this life. I've created this life. I know how to manifest, right? Yeah, I know nothing so that I can know everything. It's one of my favorite statements. I know nothing so that I can know everything. And the more that I know about what I'm going through, the more I humbly say, I don't know anything, because it continues to take my breath away. I have no idea how to do this until I'm in it. And then even when I'm in it, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. I'm being it. I'm allowing it. I'm experiencing it. I'm having compassion for myself. When I'm in something I can't stand, I let that be okay. When I'm resisting something, I let that be okay. When I'm fighting against the boulder, I let that be okay. And then there's moments where I hit the boulder and I freaking soar. I'm like, depression's here this morning. It's all right. Feels so uncomfortable. And then I just watch myself. I observe how much I don't want to be in this. I observe how I'm thinking that I'm the thoughts. I observe how I'm trying to control it. I just watch it all. Some days I'm so in, like today I was so irritable. Oh my God, was I irritable. I was so irritated. It was like next level, came out of nowhere. I didn't need to know why. I didn't need to dissect it. I didn't need to get rid of it. I didn't try to get rid of the irritability. It just was here until it wasn't. And guess what? It just went away. And then something else arises. And then something else arises. Right? Maybe anger gets to come in and say, what's up? You know, I was walking around the grocery store, getting my stuff for my smoothie, and I was just like, ugh, everything bothers me. Like, why is this not here? And why is this like this? I mean, everything. I was just like, I just let it be. It's not who I am. And it's not going to last. You know, everything comes and everything goes. Everything's in flow. And there is no destination. There's no you've arrived. The most incredible thing that you will ever do is be in this human experience and recognize what an absolute gift it is and how humbling and difficult it is in terms of awakening. Recognizing that you have never been who you thought you were. And so every moment of your life, you are being gifted the opportunity to remember who you are. Which the moment you opened your eyes, you are going to be programmed into believing you are something other than who you have always been. That's the game you chose to play, Mike and Oat Boatley and KMC, Namey One, and Katie and Lindsay and Diane. You guys all chose to drop into a human experience where the moment you opened your eyes, Jan's good life. The moment you open your eyes, you were going to be convinced by everything around you that you are something other than who you actually are. And that every moment of every day, you are going to be gifted an opportunity to remember it's not you. And so now we live on a planetary body that is in a high enough frequency that we are beginning to awaken out of that illusion. And we are beginning to remember who we actually are, which is not the Cynthia, or the Ravonda, or the Mike, or whoever else is here. It's the soul that's playing out this human experience, that's having all of these very human moments called Lori Ladd. And Lori is feeling this, and Lori is doing this, and Lori has this label, and Lori does this kind of work, and Lori makes this kind of money. And the more that you can allow that to be okay, because it's here, this is it. You're playing human. Good job. You know, you're playing Kathy. You're playing the role. So you honor that. You're humble to that role, but you're also remembering that you're a soul. There's a soul in here. There's a soul that's here at the exact same time. And the evolution is not about getting to some 5D state. The evolution isn't about moving yourself into such a high frequency that you vibrate out of this physical realm. The evolution is remembering that you are soul and human at the same time. That's what Jesus did. That's what so many masters were able to do. That's what this evolutionary process is all about. It's simply remembering that you are soul and human. And you know what it looks like? It looks like you feeling energetically your body being moved into higher frequencies, giving the you think you are access to more feeling states, exhausting the you that you think you are because the body is doing so much of this energetic recalibration, allowing the you that you think you are to see so much more, to recognize so much more, to resist so much more, right? There's a lot more of resistance. And so it's this profound opportunity to just be soul and human together. What does that look like for you? How does that unravel? What does it feel like? All right, you guys, that's it for now. I am going to be talking so much about this stuff in my 6-week course, Evolve. I named it Evolve. Starting this Thursday. 6 weeks, 6 classes live, 2 bonus classes, 2 bonus Q&A classes. We're going to dive into this. Dive. So join us. The link's in my bio. I love you guys. I'll save this. I'll put it on Facebook and YouTube. See you guys next time. I haven't been on Instagram Live in a long time, but felt important to share. Thanks, Mike, for your question if you're still here. And thank you all for being here with me. I appreciate it. I love you. I see you. I honor you. And just remember there are no mistakes and that you came here for this. You came here to be a part of this. Whether you remember that or not right now, doesn't matter. You will eventually remember it. I love you. Mwah.